Hey guys, what is up? It is Danny here, bringing you a new tutorial. This time it's on sky replacement tutorial on how I replace the sky in my Prisma edit on the boat, on the hijack cinematic, and I actually have the cinematic here right now, which is the exact same cinematic, so you guys will get what I got. And I've probably found the best method for this. So this is what it will look like, sort of your different sky, you know, all nice and blurred out and coloured and everything, kind of nice sweet colour correction. But that's kind of what the final objective is going to look like. But let's go into the actual clip. So here we have our raw clip, so just our guy running. What we want to do is we want to key out the sky without keying out the water. Because if we just put a key on it, I'll try and do that now. Type in key light, which is what the plugin we're going to use. If we, I'll just move this out of the way. If we click on the sample button, it also keys out the water, which isn't what we want. We just want to key out the sky. So if we go to transparency mode, the sky is kind of keyed out. The water is partially keyed out as well, which won't look good or anything. So we'll take off our key light, and what we want to do is just want to mask. Well, first we want to duplicate our layer. So we have the duplicated layers, and I'll just turn the sound off them for a second. And you want to mask out kind of the waterline sort of area, sort of curl it in a direction that's pretty good. And that wasn't very good. Let's just do that, and then that, and then there we are. Just go down to masks, copy the mask, and I have to move this thing somewhere else because it's right in the middle of where I want to look. This big screen recording thing. Actually, I'll just move it. What the hell? Alright then. And then you want to go down to this clip here and just paste your mask in. So there we are. Just invert the mask, pretty much. And as you can see, you've got kind of like this little line sort of here, just chilling around, I guess. So, oops, you're not moving the clip. You can move the mask up, just ever so slightly, just so that it removes kind of that little gap you had there earlier. And now you can use your color key, and it should, if we key this out, not key out the water. See? There we are. Now this is the bit where we have sort of this sort of, first I just want to say this technique only works on, see how the sky, I'll turn this off, the sky is fairly plain, there's so much going on, and the colors were very similar. Yeah, that's kind of the most ideal sort of sky you want to have. If your sky's got like stuff in it, like planes and all that are a different color, or like trees or something that you want to key out, if they're different colors, it won't key them out. So you'll have to kind of pick like a plain sky is pretty much what your ideal. So this map, it works pretty well for it because there's only subtle clouds that blend in very well with the blue. So if we do this, we'll just key this out if it wants to work. It's because I didn't have it turned on. But anyway, just boost up the screen again so it crushes all these little particles down. So I don't know, maybe 300. Seems like a good number. And then bring the screen balance down to 0. So all these little other keyed out bits don't get keyed out. And then the pre-blur, I like to keep that around 2 maybe 3. So it just depends on what you want. So it just sort of softens up these edges if we kind of just zoom in a bit. See these edges down here? And we're gonna go to next bit. Just go to screen map, screen shrink. -0.5 I found was the best sort of shrinks, because if we have this on 0, see how it's all jagged edges. So screen shrink, just -0.5, just shrinks down half a pixel, makes it smooth it out a bit. And screen softness, puts that on maybe about 2. So it just sort of feathers it out a bit, makes it look a bit smoother, which is kind of what you want. Anyway, that's pretty much all we need to do for that section. And now we have our, like, basically our keyed out sky. And then if you wanted, you could key out the water now separately and have that separately, like a separate water if you wanted to change the water, maybe put some like flames or something, lava, maybe have like a giant lava pit. I don't know what you would want to do. You could do that if you want. Then I have my background here, which I just combined like an optical flare and a Photoshop background I kind of made. And you want to make this composition. So if I open the comp, you can see you've got these 2 bits here, and this will come in handy later. But you want to drag this underneath everything so it sort of just hangs around, and then you want to position it first to where you want it to be. So I want the flare to kind of be there. Then you want to make this a 3D layer. This isn't completely necessary for this bit because it's not a moving scene. If the scene was moving, like your camera was moving around, then you'd have to motion track it, and this would come in handy. But it's a good habit to get into when doing this. Hit position and push it all the way back into Z space. All the way back. So maybe 3000 into Z space, and then just scale it up. And what this does is that if you track it in Buju and all that, it creates an artificial depth. So obviously the sky is above, you know, what like the actual ground is, but let's just say in the actual clip it's more further back, if you know what I mean. Like it would be further back than the boat, but if you don't push it back into Z space, it thinks it's bolted straight onto the back of the boat. So it will move very similar to the camera in Buju. It'll actually move very similar to the game camera, which won't look natural at all, and it'll kind of just look very artificial, I guess is what you would want to call it. That would be what I would call it anyway. Look very artificial compared to, say, if you pushed it back into Z space, it would move a lot less violently than it should. So it'd make it look a bit smoother. You'll know when it happens. That's kind of a bad example, but that's kind of what I can think off the top of my head at least. And yeah, that's basically what the keying out is. And then just to make it look like this, I'm sort of gonna give you a double whammy if this loads. Sort of a, see how it's got this sort of blur? You want to make sort of a fast blur, I guess. Shove that on your image. I have to do like 2 pixels maybe 3. So it sort of blurs it a bit, and then hit a directional. And I don't know, remember the values for this on this. I'm just going to go and check. Yeah, that's right, 15. 15 is a good value for it anyway. So just do like between 10 and 15 works well. And change it to 45 degrees. That's what I like to use anyway. I'll just see what it looks like on 10. 10 looks good. That looks nice. And this isn't necessary, but I just like to do it anyway. It makes it look, say if you're moving your image from there to there and you don't want to use the motion blur feature, this will render a tad faster and kind of give the same effect on it. And also if your camera is moving, it'll make it look like your sky has a motion blur in it, which it in theory doesn't, but it sort of gives an artificial look of one. But yeah, and I'll just sort of implement a little short CC tutorial on this as well, why not? So if I want to pull a CC like this, which looks sort of, I take off this and the ramp, that's kind of what we got. So you want to make your curves first, and I'll just make some random curves. I don't know what this will look like, but apply color correction curves, and this is for After Effects. I kind of want to boost up the lights and then bring down the darks, like the shadows, so kind of contrast, makes it a little bit more dramatic. Bring up the reds and push them in slightly, so it's kind of halfway between, and then bring it down. So that looks fairly nice. And the greens, kind of boosted in the shadows, but bring it down on the highlights. And the blues, kind of pretty much the same as the red, but maybe not so far across. Maybe. So you want to kind of, I like it, just fool around what color you want. Maybe you want a purpley sort of color, and that's fairly close to what we've got there. So that's just sort of your basis. You want to make them solid afterwards, and this will be just like, I don't know, ramp. Now you can use just type in fill, I guess, and just set that to add, which will kind of make sort of one big block color, but I like ramp better because it's sort of like a big fancy gradient. Oh, that apply to that, hold it. Just drag that onto your clip, and then first go to transform and just hit flip vertical, so the white is now at the top. Or you can just change, just flip these colors, so that one would be white, that one would be black. But I'm too lazy for that, obviously. And then just hit blending mode to add. So what blending mode add does, for anyone who doesn't know, is that the the darker the color is, the less color it has, the less it will be seen. So if something's white, it's going to be seen quite a lot. See, if I have this, it's very red at the top because it's closer to the sort of a lighter red, but if I bring it down, it gets less saturated until it's completely negates the whole point of the ramp. So you can fool around with this one a bit. I'll say like a bluish purple, see what this looks like. Maybe a violet-y sort of colour. Maybe reduce its saturation a bit and make it a bit more blue. And yeah, that looks fairly nice. Bit different result over here. I kind of like that one better, but did I add anything else? No, I just had curves. Well, yeah, I had sort of a blue, I guess, but just play around a little bit. And yeah, that looks fairly nice, but that's just a basic tutorial on how do I change the sky in After Effects and a little quick CC tutorial, so like 2-in-1. But yeah, if you want any more tutorials, just request one, and yeah, see you guys, bye.